Let's rewind a bit. I mean, let's go back kind of before you. I know very little actually about how the two of you came together to start this business. But what were each of you doing before you decided to get into real estate and start, frankly, real estate?
Teaching.
Teaching, both of us.
Both of you were teachers?
Yes.
What grades were where? I mean, what subjects?
Me go first?
Yeah.
I taught middle school and then I taught fourth grade and I was a teacher for 17 years and I worked with Shae's mom. And so
Oh, that's
that was
cool.
sort of our connection. And after 17 years, that's when I transitioned to real estate.
So how did real estate come up?
Well, I teach group fitness classes, and Katie DeWitt, who's a realtor in town, was a recruiter for KW at the time, and she recruited me.
That's cool.
And it
How'd you get into real
sounded
estate?
like a good gig.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Shae, what about you?
Well, I was a teacher for 8 years and I wanted to transition out, and I had been interested in real estate for years, but didn't think that I had the right personality for it. I just felt like I wasn't outgoing enough and I wasn't willing to just walk up to people and talk to them. So I just didn't. And then I watched Amber get into it. And I was like, okay, like, I mean, Amber's probably a little more outgoing than me, but she's not salesy or pushy or, that kind of personality. I think that I had some sort of stereotype in my head. And so I was like, do you think I could do it? And we met. And then 6 weeks later, I was licensed, I think.
Yep.
That's pretty fast for getting licensed, right?
Yeah.
I was very motivated.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. And then we worked together for a few years before we decided to open Frankly.
Both at Keller Williams?
At Keller Williams and then another smaller brokerage in town.
Okay.
And then it just didn't make sense for us to be working for other people anymore.
Versus working for yourselves?
Mm-hmm.
So tell me what were some of those conversations like when you were selling houses and you're in real estate, but you wanted to make the transition to working for yourselves and opening your own office? I mean, what did that look like?
I think we wanted to be really community focused, and we wanted to represent ourselves and our individual businesses a certain way. And jump in if I'm not saying the right thing, but, and, watching I think when you get into real estate, you think like, oh, it has to be this big, the Keller Williams, the Windermere's, and those are great. And there's a lot of benefits to those big companies. But, the longer we were in it, the more we realized that, and, you can open your own brokerage and run it how you want to run it and market the way that you want to market and, just make those decisions. And we were like, well, if other people can do it, why not us? Mm-hmm. So we did it.
So in real estate, it's the idea of working for yourself and owning a business. I mean, they're similar in two different things. So when you started, yes, you were under someone else's name, you're under another brokerage, but I mean, you did work for yourself, as real estate agents do. I mean, how is it different running a real estate brokerage compared to being under someone else's?
For me, one of the biggest differences is that we can like the big events or the big decisions we make are our own instead of participating in what somebody else believes in. And so we can gear our marketing money towards hosting events that our clients can come to and have fun at instead of something that another brokerage might want to do that doesn't fit our personality. So I think things like that and the way that we wanted to market on social media just didn't always align with the people that were in charge of the company as a whole.
I would agree with that.
How much of that would you say is, I mean, because I go to your events and participate in this community that you're building, how much of that would you say really is, you could define as like the culture that you're building around your business? Sorry, I'm going way off the list.
I like it. I feel like it's one and the same. Like every transaction, every interaction, every event, it's all part of the community that we want to participate in.
So what would you say is one early challenge that either of you or both of you faced when starting your own, when starting Frankly?
It's hard to find direction. Other people have opened their own brokerages, and some of those people also are in competing roles. So it's hard to go to someone and say, I would like to also try to get the same business that you're getting. Can you help me for free? Mm-hmm. So I found that, sort of challenging of what are the steps? What do we need to do first? What do we have to have in place so that we don't, do something wrong? And I found that a little bit challenging. And there really, from what I found, weren't a lot of resources for that other than, Google.
Yeah. So where have you found that? Because I experienced that in my business. We obviously are I'm under a company that has, a couple thousand people that I can go to for ideas, but I also often need to go outside, and find my own. Where do you find, I guess, the direction that you need?
I think we did ask a few principal brokers and brokerage owners that, we trusted and respected. And then just going to like the Realtor Association and, our MLS and just saying like, we're starting our own brokerage. Tell me what we need to do. What forms do we need to fill out? And just really just piecing it together from a bunch of different places.
So you both bring different strengths and backgrounds to the table, even though you follow similar career paths. How do you find that you complement each other in your business?
It's been pretty easy. There's always moments. It's hard when you own a business with someone else. There's two equal opinions that should be valued equally. But I find that it's where one of us is really, confident in a decision. The other one's kind of like, I don't know, and I trust you, or vice versa. Or somebody's, really opinionated about something and the other person just doesn't care that much. And it's worked out really well so far.
It sounds
I
like it.
also,
Sounds
I also,
a little bit.
I mean, it really has become that
Yeah.
way. And I feel like there are, everybody has their strengths and weaknesses, but we have a way of understanding each other so that like I can be really intense and people sometimes find me hard to deal with because I'm intense. And Shay doesn't. Like she's just like, whatever, I don't think you're so scary or intense. You're like passionate or decisive, but never like unkind. So like
Mhm.
I can be like ranting and raving and crying and she's just like listening to the words instead of the emotion, which is hard for people with me. So I'm not sure if I do that for her in the same way, but it definitely like not a lot of people can withstand that. And
Yeah.
so I do think there's a calmness with her that helps to mellow me. And sometimes I can get her riled, which is important also. So,
I can be too passive sometimes and she gives me a little push. You can be meaner than that, Shay.
yeah. And I also think, we, at the end of the day, we have the same belief system and we both are doing this because we want to help people become homeowners. I mean, we're in it for the people. The paychecks are nice, but like at the end of the day, we're both here for the same reason. So
Yeah.
our decisions tend to match up
So
almost all of the time.
did you find that pretty quickly when you started working together, or did it take time to find this complementing or kind of how to complement each other and work together?
I think it took us going through hard times to find it. Because at first we just started and it was 2020 and buyers were falling from the sky and everything was easy. And then once we had hard things in business and life, then you grow as a partnership.
What was it like starting? I mean, that's interesting, I guess, overlapping paths. You said that buyers were falling from the sky, but it was also a little bit like the sky was falling during that time.
Hmm.
I mean, talk about starting your own business during COVID. Like, it does seem like a surprising amount of people did.
I think when there's big things happening in the world, it is like a mix of, stressful and like you're looking at this big picture of like what's ultimately important, but also that it trickles down to, when you're like, life can throw surprises at you. And I don't want to spend my time working with and for people that aren't aligning with my goals and supporting me. And so I think we were both just kind of like, yeah, things are crazy out here and we can control this and let's give it a try.
It's good. It's good perspective. I think the unpredictability of the world, but also the unpredictability of real estate. I know that when you came into it, the industry was just kind of on fire. It has slowed down, but then it picks up. It slows down. Rates, seem to fluctuate. How do you, especially owning the business and being responsible for the leadership of the business, how do you plan for all the changes and fluctuations in your industry?
I think we just try to be really consistent about the things that we can control because there's a lot of things that you can't control in this business. But if you're consistently putting out positive energy and working and being present and available for people, I think that, of course, there's ups and downs, but you just keep being consistent about the things you can control. And we have a really great sphere and a really great referral system. And, people keep us busy.
I think the timing, it maybe was a little bit crazy to start a business, right? As COVID hit, but I think, when we started, or when Amber started, and then when I started, there was we were on maybe like an uphill trajectory for the market, at least for agents, what it felt like. And so when I first started, and I think when Amber started, it was not, I was busy, but it wasn't crazy busy when I started real estate in 2018. And so I saw what more of a balanced, more what I would consider a good balanced market felt like. And then 2020 hit, and then 2021, and it was just kind of crazy. But I knew that was not forever. And I think Amber knew that was not forever. This was like, okay, we're going to learn a lot and do a lot of transactions, and this is going to be great, and it's not going to be forever. Whereas I think it was harder if for agents coming in during that time, because you walked in and you had business, just like, a lot of agents had business immediately. And so then in 2022, 2023, when things really slowed down and interest rates started going up, it was like, whoa, we don't know what to do now for a lot of agents. Whereas we were like, okay, back to how we started, be a little harder. And so we really were like, we have to have these things in place. We have to be consistently doing these things to stay top of mind and be there when people need us to be there, instead of getting so distracted by how hard things were and focusing on other things.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I know how that is. I guess I could commend the two of you for learning that as quickly as you did, maybe, because I think it takes a lot of ups and downs for people to ultimately recognize that there are ups and downs and to be able to work through them. I always think it's like, celebrate the ups, but don't celebrate them too long, and grovel in the downs, but don't grovel too long, because things are going to come back up and things are going to go back down. It's just that's the world. So I know a lot of what you guys do is, so you're so outward facing, with the events you do, the stuff in the community, your social media accounts that are pretty awesome. Talk about what's the stuff that people don't see. I mean, what's the kind of less glamorous side of real estate that maybe people don't anticipate so much when they're getting into it?
I think we both do a lot of cleaning of other people's homes.
We do. Yes.
That's funny.
There's a lot of cleaning.
There's a lot, sometimes we walk in and it's ready to go, and other times we walk in and it's nowhere near, ready for photos, and we figure it out, and it's not always pretty until it is.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, on my first sale ever, I went to give keys to my buyers, and the washer and dryer were supposed to be left, and they weren't there. And underneath them was trashed. I mean, it was just normal, and so I ran to Shopco and got them up and cleaned it up. I mean, my buyers didn't need to see that. I don't think they know about it. I mean, I don't think I've ever talked about it. So just even things like that, where the miscommunication happens wherever it happens, and you don't want first-time homebuyers to walk into a mess.
Yeah. A lot of removing food from the fridge, and then just putting it in my car to take home and put it in my own garbage. Because a lot of times the old owner's garbage cans are gone, and the new owner's garbage cans haven't arrived. So yeah, I've had a lot of old food in my car.
Wow. You just got to remember to take it out, right?
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. But
so
I think
how about
beyond
on the
that,
kind of, sorry, go ahead.
well, I was just going to say the other things is, just availability. We are available to our clients most of the time. And so, trying to take a vacation or things where you want to step away can be challenging. And I think what people see for agents is, the fun stuff, and we're working and closing houses and keys, but we also live that full other life that everyone else is living with, kids and family and, our own events, cleaning our own houses, doing our, all those things, cooking our meals. And then we're also, have our phone right there ready to help somebody, because we know that that's one of the biggest decisions they'll ever make in their life. And you really don't want to mess that up or not be available. So, yeah.
And I do think, there's a lot of meetings and paperwork and discussions and decision making where we joke all the time that we have meetings consistently for years, and our families call us during our meetings almost every week. And
without fail.
I know you see a cute reel on Instagram, but we actually are working.
Mhm.
We actually are meeting. So I think that is also a challenge where sometimes people don't realize.
They see the flexibility of our job,
Yes.
and it's not always what it looks like.
Mm-hmm. They should. Yeah, it's true. The freedom flexibility side is usually a little more visible than maybe the responsibility side of all of it. So how about I mean on the business owner side, I mean that's where you're both in unique situations too, to where you're similar to what I do, like you're both real estate agents and you're also running a business that has other real estate agents. What are some of the challenges there that you maybe didn't see coming? I feel like Amber's got one. I saw her smile.
I think we both, me more than Shae maybe, felt a pressure to grow with agents, and I don't want to. So there was like an internal struggle, I feel like, for a few years where like, let's bring on people but I don't really want to manage other people. So, we like to have a small group where we can all manage ourselves.
I think I was more open to it because, you see people and they open brokerages or they start a team and they're like, oh, I bring on people. And so on the outside, other industry people, title, escrow, whatever, they assumed that we were wanting to bring on more agents. And we did, in after the first, whatever that was, year or
Yeah.
two. And that was great. But then we were like, this is a lot of work, especially having a brand new agent. And we just don't, it's, you almost have to make a decision whether you're going to be coaching new agents or you're going to be running your own real estate business. And I think we both realized we want to run real estate. We got into this because we like our job, not, to manage other people, even when they're great people. That's, I think there's still pressure to grow. We still have, sometimes we get, people that are like, oh, go check out Frankly. And it's hard because it might be somebody and you care about and you think they're great. And you're like, but I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, but try this other brokerage.
Yeah, because I do think neither of us want to be just business owners. We want to be realtors. And if you have a lot of brokers, you need somebody who's running the brokers. And we don't want to do that. We like to help people buy and sell real estate.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, you guys touched on a couple of the larger outfits, earlier on, and I think that again, it's kind of the outward appearances. A lot of what people see are these large real estate companies, and it is a lot very coaching based, and you start almost picturing seminars and stuff. But there are a lot of other brokerages that are out there that are more similar to you guys. People just don't necessarily see them, but you're also focused on working with your buyers and your sellers so much versus growing this empire, so to speak.
Totally.
Right.
You have an empire. I could start calling it an empire.
The Frankly Empire.
Our empire of trees.
Yeah. Yeah. Empire of trees, tree wallpaper. Okay, let's find another question here. We talked about culture a little bit. We can talk some more about that. So as you're growing, I mean, I know again, maybe you don't give as much thought to it as it seems, but you do put on a lot of events. You're good at bringing people together. A lot of just kind of getting out and trying new things. I mean, is that part of the culture that you want to build? I guess if not, I mean, have you given much thought of what culture you want, even if you're not going to have a lot of people, on your team, really still building out what you want that to look like?
I guess I consider myself, and I'm sure Amber feels the same way, really lucky that this is my job because I do love it. And there are hard parts and there are days where I'm like, whew, but I do love this job. And if I can use my marketing money to throw a fun event that other people are having fun at and I can connect with people and we can laugh and, drink coffee or beer or, do karaoke or then that, I mean, I would much rather do that than give my money to, some online platform. And so that to me, I feel like, why wouldn't I do these fun things? And honestly, we have our people, our sphere, but our people that support us and care about us, even if they're people that probably, are never going to buy or sell again. They're still super supportive and that's what makes it. They're seriously amazing and people always show up to support us.
And they're genuinely, people are making connections. I have clients who have met Shae's clients who have kids the same age and now they have play dates and are friends. And it's just sort of about getting people together, getting people out and making sure there's still fun and happiness.
Well, I think the real estate industry is interesting because it's I know the word transaction comes up a lot, but it is so relationship. But that transaction, I guess maybe that's the best way to put it. That transaction is a very relationship based transaction, but once the keys are handed over, it does seem, and part of it is just the business model, right? You have to, it's on to, you have to be going and getting more business after that. But you all are doing a good job of having it kind of carry on beyond that, even though you do need to go, continue growing your business. So it's a good job on that.
We do joke with our clients that they can't get rid of us.
Yeah.
We're not going
We're
anywhere.
not going anywhere.
Yeah.
We're inviting you
Smart.
to
It's
an
good.
event
They
every
shouldn't
month.
want them to get rid of you, right? Like, so you sell them another house or their family. One question I have thought of with your business in particular is that you are all female based. I don't know if that's the right term. You're comprised of all females. I don't know if that's intentional or not, but what have you seen challenges in that? But also on the flip side, how is that played to your advantage?
Well, I mean, one thought I'm having is that we do like to support other woman-owned, mom-owned businesses. There's unique challenges to not that mothers are always the default primary parent, but it does happen a lot, and there is very unique challenges to that, I think. And so to be surrounded by other people that get that feels really supportive, and just I don't feel like I have to make excuses. They just get it. They know.
I have recently been getting a lot of leads from Reddit, which is very interesting to me, and I don't understand it.
Wow.
But most of the people that come from Reddit mention that it is female owned, and that's
That's cool.
something that they liked. And I'm sure there's people out there who learn that, and that's something they don't like, and so they don't choose us. But I think that's just part of that whole culture thing. Like, the right people are going to find us the right way. And so I do think from an online perspective, people are looking for that. There are women who want to work with women. So I guess that's a benefit to us. I don't think we went into it thinking about that or trying to capture
Right.
that. It's just we work well together.
Well, where I have thought about it is I think it's kind of what Shae was saying earlier too. People will send other people in real estate your way, and I was thinking, oh yeah, I've thought of, I had a couple of people I had thought about that before, and it was a male, and that was just the thought crossed my mind. Obviously, you're not discriminating, but that was when that had just first kind of even dawned on me.
Just kind of the way it happened.
Yeah, yeah.
And when
go ahead.
When we first were talking about opening, there was a third person who was thinking about joining, not to be part owner or anything. And that was a male. And I don't know if we were just too intimidating for him or what. But
well, you talked about being able to like attract the right people or whatever you said. It's like, or get the right people, and it's like it's also helps get the wrong people to go somewhere else.
Well, and we put it's like, I don't know where, but I'm sure it says women-owned business somewhere.
Yeah.
We're part of some sort of list.
Or at least the AI summary on Google or something, I think, has it in there. I mean, I think real estate I think statistically real estate is maybe more than half women. But I think in general, when I see finance businesses, and real estate is, part of that, at least, it seems pretty male dominated.
Yeah.
And so it's, I think, nice when people, if they want a woman and that's who they feel comfortable with, we're here.
Yeah, I think it's good. And I think your point about it's not really intentional, but it's happened naturally. But you've embraced it. I think it's healthy, right? All right, we got a couple more here. So there's two things. I think one of them is kind of your kind of wow, like look at what we've done in a good way. But there's also the oh wow, look at what we've done in not so good way. I mean, what are a couple moments where it really stood out to you that you are creating something pretty awesome, but maybe also kind of an oh god, what do we do moment as well?
I think there's always this little voice in the back of my head that likes to remind me that I am somewhat in charge of other people's livelihoods. When you have employees or people that are working for you, it's a push. I mean, it's like, I can't let my team down. I can't get to the point where I'm not doing enough business to own this business with Amber. That's letting her down. I can't, we have an employee, and it's, there's a little bit of pressure there. So those are some moments for me that I'm like,
What about on the positive side? The kind of when's the time you've just been able to step back and kind of say, look what we're doing.
I think some of our events do that for me, where I look around and I'm like, we've helped all of these people or someone that they know, and we'll have, some of our anniversary parties, pushing 200 people coming. And it's like, there's this many people that care enough. It's hard to get that many people to a wedding. And there's this many people that care enough about our business or us as people to show up to this event and take time out of their weekend and bring their families. And that is pretty amazing.
I think it is. I think that's a good. I mean, it's again, it's interesting. I think that you work with one family at a time, or two families at a time. Really, when you're selling a house, nobody ever expects you to go then really build a community and bring people together the way that you do. And it's something that I think resonates well with me and my approach to my business as well. It's just bringing people together. We are in a unique position where we get to help people with tough things, and people get vulnerable with us. It puts us in a position to be able to do that, which is pretty neat.
I agree with Shae about that. The events, there's always a moment where we kind of make eye contact and we're like, haha, look what we did. But I also feel like we were both educators and it was really challenging to be a public school teacher. I tried really hard to help all these kids meet all these goals. And then I transitioned to a job that I didn't realize would be so similar because it is just helping people reach goals, but you have like one or two at a time instead of 35.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one goal instead of 15 goals. So it's like, and it's a possible thing to accomplish. And so I actually have a moment every morning when I'm making my coffee where I'm like, look at this life I created for myself that I didn't know was possible. And I remind myself that like I wasn't stuck, even though I felt stuck, and that maybe I can help other people realize that because we put a lot into our work and it should feel good at least some of the time, if not most of the time. And like in real estate, I feel like it's pretty good most of the time. And things are stressful and hard and
But they're stressful and hard for 30 days. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
and so it's like every morning when I make my coffee, I have a wow, we created something cool and it just keeps getting better.
Well, and what you said, I think, about not being stuck, even though at the time you thought you were, I think it says, I mean, I think that translates well to, or it correlates well to other people who maybe are wanting to get in real estate, wanting to start a business. But I think probably most importantly, people in what you do, people who want to buy a house.
Yeah.
And who think they can't, right? So it's just that's a good experience into a perspective, I think.
I think one more thought, and I know Amber's experience is probably more than I have, but we get to help our former students buy houses. And, especially for me, I worked with teen parents when I worked for the school district. And so to see somebody overcome such a challenge at such a young age, I mean, parenting's hard for anyone, let alone a 15-year-old. To see them overcome that, graduate high school, and then come back and say, hey, I'm thinking about buying a house.
Wow.
Is pretty, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that is amazing. That's awesome.
It is. We have there are quite a few former students who have bought and sold real estate with us, which is really the most rewarding.
It is the ultimate compliment.
That's very cool. Well, you haven't sold any of their kids' houses yet. I bet that would be a whole different layer of reward. I mean, so did you ever think you would find so much purpose in what you're doing now back when you were, I mean, obviously, I feel like that's one of the most well-known purposeful jobs out there is being a teacher. Did you ever expect to find this much?
No, I had guilt.
Yeah, we both had guilt leaving teaching because we felt like we were getting into a selfish profession. And then once you experience it and the way we do business, I mean, we're just all about helping people meet their goals. And then,
And I think that circles back around to why we opened, frankly, that we still want to help people, even though we're not in a public service job anymore. We are still serving the public.
I'm working on that a lot. It's like you spend too much time on goals and planning for your goals. And then it's like, yeah, but what if I just didn't have any goals? What if I just worked as hard as I could? It's like, well, what happens is you hit those goals. Whereas working on goals, just creating goals never gets you to actually hit the goal, right? So I think for anybody who, who's listening to this, I think you both have really good insight and good experience on the business owner side. So just kind of strip away everything real estate for a second. What is, I guess, again, kind of one exciting thing that you would tell somebody who's considering starting their own business, but also one maybe a word of caution, I guess, for someone who's wanting to, maybe feeling stuck, feeling inspired, but wanting to start their own business?
I mean, I have an answer for both of those questions.
Do it.
I think, the exciting part of owning your business, and I'm not as good about this. I tend to downplay things, where my husband comes in and he's like, she owns this. She owns a brokerage. She's not just an agent. And so I try to downplay things, but I think, when you see what you've built with lots of help, it wasn't just us, but see what you built, you're like, this is like amazing. So you see, like, you're like, wow, like we built this. This is amazing. And then also, like, it's all on me if it fails. Like, I don't have anybody else to blame. I can't really blame the market or my clients, or I can't blame anybody else. Like, it's on me if it fails. So it's a catch-22 of like, look what I did, but also like, I hope I keep doing that. So that's my little piece.
How about you, Amber?
I mean, I don't know that. I guess the scariest part is starting, because that make deciding to make a change, it takes a long time and it's different for everybody. But I feel like once I made the decision to become a realtor and quit teaching, it just everything felt better, and then everything I worked towards was a benefit to me and my clients, instead of working really hard and not seeing the benefit. So I think for me, as soon as I transitioned out of education, I just felt more confident in what I was doing. As an educator, I always doubted my effectiveness. And as a realtor, you can see your effectiveness. I mean, people are reaching out because they want you to be their realtor. You're closing houses. There's feedback that's positive. And so I feel like once I decided, it just improved. The scariest part was putting my 2 weeks notice in.
Well, I think like Shae was saying, it's 30 days, right? But you get to see it from start to finish. Whereas with teaching, unless you run a schoolhouse, right? I mean, you get the kids for that period of time and then they go on.
Yeah.
And it's hard. You don't quite get that different kind of reward, but you don't get to see something from all the way through.
And I think we both, I mean, we already said this, but when we have former students who have grown up and now they want to purchase a house with
Mhm.
you because they trust you, like, you don't usually get to see how your students turn out.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite middle schoolers, I work with his wife now. She's a interior designer, and I know his children and I'm part of the family. And, I wouldn't have gotten that if I was still a teacher. I would just be
Mhm.
teaching the next group.
Mhm.
And so I do think there's a lot of benefits with our students as realtors that we wouldn't have had otherwise.
I think it's cool. I think I mean, it is just, there's so much to be said about just thinking we know where we're going to end up. And then once we get there, it's just at someplace completely different.
Mhm.
Well, and I think that if there's anything I think from this interview is that maybe there's a teacher that's in a similar spot where the two of you were, that sees this, and well,
Mhm.
they'll hopefully they see the part where you're not bringing on any more real estate agents, but maybe they'll feel maybe they'll feel inspired by it, which is
And even
powerful.
if
So
we don't bring them on, we'll be helpful to
Yeah.
them. We're
yeah,
still
Yeah.
friends
and find somewhere else for them to land.
realtors.
Yeah.
Exactly. We have lots of good people to recommend them to.
Thank you both. I really appreciate it.